All right, welcome back to another very special episode of The Script is Better because this is our first Christmas episode.
Woo!
Woo! And what better movie to do than Bill Murray's 1989 film, The Scrooged.
Scrooged. Not
Yes,
just Scrooged.
The Scrooged.
The Scrooged.
The Scroogening.
Or as the script calls it, Scrooge. No D.
It's just called the Scrooge, no D. Then they met with the founder of Napster, and he said, "Add a D."
What? Oh, that's the social network joke. Oh my god. That
Yeah.
was a deep cut.
Drop
I was
the-
like, what are you talking about? Hilarious. Drop the. Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Screwed.
Yeah, I think we chose this film for a special reason. It's not because we're not doing the normal format of just doing films that we have not seen. This is a film that we've both watched probably countless times.
Yep.
We grew up with it. It's a great film. What do you remember loving about Scrooged in general before we get into the script?
The ghosts are so much fun. And I think just seeing Bill Murray I don't know, just go on that character journey was really nice. And to see where he came from was cool because he's often like a cool guy in movies. So I liked seeing him be not so cool.
Okay.
Yeah. And like the cabbie ghost and the fairy are just like the best. So good. So good.
I guess when I
What
think
did you
of
like?
like Groundhog Day, just to talk about what you said about Bill Murray being a cool guy. I guess when you think about something like Groundhog Day, he's an angry guy and lots of foolish things happen to him, but I guess he is still cool in the midst of everything. Yeah.
Like he's suave. He's even suave in this when he's the power guy, like in his position. He's like cool. But then when you see where he came from as Lumpy, you're like, oh, I like this.
I think I liked just the way it all comes together. I like the way it was filmed, the way the over the topness of it, the characters, not only Bill Murray, but I forget his name. I'll have it for when we actually watch the film. But the character who's like the kind of an antagonist to Bill Murray because he gets fired at the beginning and then gets shit on throughout it.
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah, exactly. Bobcat, yeah. So I like the character that he plays. I liked everything. Yeah. I actually had a problem with the ghost that I'll bring up maybe a little. No, I'll bring it up now. It's not really a problem. It's that they made the first ghost like quintessentially New York in being a cab driver, and then none of the other ghosts are like that. They're all their own thing, which is fine. They weren't doing a New York thing, but it felt like this film was so much like Scrooge in New York, and they made one ghost a New York ghost, and then none of the others a stereotypical New York ghost.
What a good find. I didn't think about that at all. Yeah. How would you have made the fairy? I mean,
I have no idea. I'm not from New York, though, okay? I don't know New York.
When I said, how would you have made the fairy New York? I'm like, oh, I just want, like, Bill Hader's character from SNL when he plays that guy that knows where all the parties are. Like, that's what the Ghost of Christmas Present should be.
Yeah, that's good.
Stefan or something?
You're right. Yeah, I mean, like 15 or 20 years too late, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into the actual script. It was written by Mitchell Glazer and Michael O'Donoghue, and yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff here. What did you like about the script?
It was weird because I was trying to read it in a way where it was not like, ooh, I know this movie so well. This is different, and this is different, and this is different, and just take the script as it was. And so, like, in reading it, I wouldn't say I was necessarily, like, blown away by the writing style or anything like that. It was just, it was like this is like a script that I would be like, cool, this is like a 7, do one more pass to punch everything up. But I think what like happened was that the actors brought so much to it that it became phenomenal. But if I was just taking the script off just for the read, it wasn't like too enjoyable. Or no, sorry, it wasn't like blow me away. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't blow me away. And there were some parts where I was like, oh, I feel like you're like milking for a joke here and stuff that could have been cut away. Like, I guess one specific time that they did that was like near the beginning where Elliot comes to Frank and he's like, excuse me, what does this ad have to do with Scrooge? Because Frank has just shown this like horrifying ad that he wants to run to get more people to watch their live broadcast of Scrooge. And they go back and forth for a little bit, all for a joke at the end that's just to get Frank to say it'll scare the dickens out of them. And I was like, it's a funny joke, but it's like a lot of dialogue, like more back and forth than I thought was needed to get to that joke. So yeah, just a few times in the script like that, I was like, you could have cut this and just gotten to your joke. And especially for the payoff, because it wasn't that hilarious. I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't really say Charles Dickens, I don't think, anywhere else in the script, do they? So even oh yeah, no, they do. They said it like they said it like 7 lines before this one. So never mind.
Every page.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a Charles Dickens script. Yeah. So the script was like, yeah, it was good, but I like wanted to be blown away, and I was just like, okay, the voice of the writer isn't really in the narrative or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree that there's the voice of the narrator isn't in the narrative. I did find that there's a lot of detail in the description of the script. And I think part of that it must come, like, I think this script was closer to the shooting than some of the other scripts that we've read. But part of it is just that in the way the writer's style, the way they write themselves. I think they put a lot of detail in there because I could visualize things really well from reading the script. And, part of that's just because I've actually seen the film. But
right.
And I did try not to picture Bill Murray being the character the entire time. But
yeah. What about Marlon Brando, though?
I didn't even remember Marlon Brando was in this.
He's not.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
not.
I guess you write the script the way you want with who you want to be in it, but don't expect.
Yeah. They wanted Marlon Brando to play Scrooge. I was like, what? I don't even remember who the Scrooge character is in this. Like, I thought like the only big names were like, Bill Murray and Bobcat and like the guy who plays Bryce and the love interest and I guess the ghost as well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I honestly don't remember those other characters, the Scrooge characters at all. So we'll talk more about differences when we actually get to seeing the film because maybe they're in there and we don't even remember. But yeah. I do want to speak to just the quality of the writing in that a scene I've already seen like Frank being worried over Calvin the first time not the first time he gets to see Calvin, but when the ghost of Christmas Present, I think it was, Christmas Present brings them to Gloria's house and they get to see Grace's house, I should say, not Gloria, Grace's house, and they get to see her son Calvin and the way he interacts with his siblings and he learns the pain that he's gone through. I did feel something. Like I got something out of that scene emotionally. That's such a dude way to say it. I got something out of that emotionally. But yeah, I did feel something. And that's good just being able to read that and especially having seen that already.
Yeah. For sure. All of the Calvin stuff hit pretty hard. And just Grace's life in general, I would say, like the kind of like cramped living space that they've got going on juxtaposed against like even what James has, and he's not that much more well off than they are necessarily, but just like that and then going against all the riches that Frank has, it was good. Tugged at those heartstrings.
I did like that they had Frank as a character that was like in the book Scrooge is kind of like the top of the totem pole, right?
Yeah.
And in this, Frank is kind of the top of the totem pole, but he's one level down, and so you get to see him not only be like the boss and everyone fawning over him, but then he quickly changes to just like another peon, like trying to fawn over his boss and like do whatever his boss wants him to do.
It's true. Yeah, gives it another layer. I found that they also brought something like that to the ghosts, because the cabbie at one point says Frank is like saying that the cabbie has the wrong guy, and the cabbie's like, that's exactly what Attila the Hun said. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, so these ghosts don't just exist for Scrooge. Like, they're implying that these ghosts help a lot of other people, like, get towards being a better person. And I thought that was cool too, like bringing something different to it. I just assumed from the Charles Dickens one that, like, they existed solely for Scrooge, and that's it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Do you think the ghosts are supposed to be like angels?
I mean, well, in this one specifically, like, Herman becomes an angel. So,
Right.
yeah, I don't know. In that, like, Star Wars, like, Ewok party scene at the very ending.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally, you see the ghost, like, just looking down on this big party happening. I was like, hey, Darth Vader, what up?
Talking about that party scene, like I we'll talk again. I keep saying we'll talk about differences next time, but man, that I'm gonna really need to talk about that song ending,
Yeah.
because that's a big moment in the movie.
Oh, yeah, give it a little love, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
No,
Preview.
no worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Are they angels? Do you have an opinion on? Are they angels?
I like. I think if I was just to like look at if I was to study this film and like the accompanying book,
Yep.
Scrooge, I would probably like just to analyze it, I would say like they aren't explicitly named angels, but they serve in every capacity as the same thing as angels. And maybe I would compare it to what's that movie? Is it Not As Good as It Gets? What's that Christmas movie where he's going to commit suicide and then he gets to see his entire life if he wasn't alive?
What?
You know exactly. Like that was a perfect description of what this movie is.
I mean, I want to
Um,
see that movie. I don't
no,
know.
you know it. You've like
I
seen this
do.
movie. Yeah,
Wants to commit suicide and then he sees his life.
as if he wasn't there.
Wow.
It's a Wonderful Life. I
Ah!
couldn't remember the name of it.
If
That
you
was a
told
perfect
me,
description
if
of It's
you
a
said
Wonderful Life.
what is a Wonderful Life about, I would not have said that, but that's totally what it's about. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. Yes, so that one is fully angels. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the guy in It's a Wonderful Life, the angel in It's a Wonderful Life, plays the exact same role as the angels in this, right? Or the ghosts in this.
True, true, true. But I will say that the cabbie influences some people in a negative way. And I don't know if angels necessarily would do that. Like his driving directly affects other people, whereas like the fairy and the demon looking guy didn't affect anyone else.
They really played fast and loose with that, eh? Like when the ghosts would be seen or be affected or affect other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the demon, the ghost, the last one, the death ghost, Frank meets him at the elevator and he's like scared of him, and then it turns out that that's not the ghost, the third ghost. But then that we follow that ghost to his dressing room, and it turns out that that is the ghost.
Okay, so I thought that was like a bait and switch. I thought that it was like
Okay.
the person who was like in the elevator wasn't the ghost, and then somehow there was like a scene cut switch or something, and it's just that they're in the same costume. But I did like that in the script we see him like peeling off the layers of like this character that he's playing in the actual TV show. So I don't know.
Yeah. Just to talk about the story, I felt you got to see a lot of the world, and it was cool that they could build things up. I did find that just because of the nature of the story, you didn't necessarily get to linger on certain characters as much as I would have wanted. I like what, for instance, just like Grace's life, like Grace as a character and her life. Like anytime we had a scene with her, I was just like, I want to see more of this, even though it doesn't fit. Like it's not the movie. We're
Yep.
supposed to be following Scrooge. I do want to see more of just Grace's family and Grace's life and what she's dealing with.
Yeah. You could see this being like a limited series TV show, maybe? Like just one
Maybe,
season.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know how ghosts and stuff would fit into it in that case, or if it would just be like completely separate, just them leading their life. And
Wait,
also,
has anyone done Scrooge in a limited series TV show? Are we doing it?
we doing it. I don't know if we have the budget to do something.
I'm doing it. I'm writing it.
Okay, go do it. Make it back. All right. And then also the relationship with Claire, like I like what they were going for, that like he's a changed man and stuff, and like he's finally seeing his love. But like for one thing, it always rang false. Like some things
Yeah.
rang false for me. Like he's treating people like shit all the time, and
In
Claire's
front
just
of
like,
her.
oh, but he's a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And like her life like stops and starts at him. Like he literally
Hmm.
calls, she shows up. He shows up at her work, she considers leaving. And then he says something on TV and she rushes to his work again. It's like that's their only interaction. And yes, you guys do have a history together, okay, but like he said, it was 15 years ago. And right now in the present, you're able to just drop everything that you're doing numerous times for this person. Have you just
Mhm.
been waiting for this person to call? I don't know if that's going to be a healthy relationship.
No, exactly. Another one that happens is when we get to see when the Ghost of Christmas Future shows him his future, you see that
Yeah.
her entire life is changed based off of one line that he says to her, that
Yeah.
she's like some kind of chump in some
Yeah.
ways. Like, yeah, and suddenly she's like cold to all children, and she's all about money, and she's like plastic. Like it's so weird.
Yeah.
No one's going to change their entire life based off that. Like you've devoted your life to helping people, and suddenly just
Yeah.
one line is enough to like, nah, all right, I'm just a shitty person now.
You were in the Peace Corps. You were in the Peace Corps, and an ex-boyfriend was like, shake him off, and you were like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see that Frank is supposed to be 38 in this
I did
film?
see that, yes.
Yeah, I always
And
pictured
Bryce is supposed to be 27.
interesting. Yeah, that's very young. I always pictured because it was Bill Murray, especially. I was like, he's older, like
I
40s, maybe 50s.
Right, but he might have actually been 38 at the time of filming this because uh, like I think it's just because we're younger than him that he just permanently looks older than us.
Mm, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Like in our minds, it's just like a trick of the mind. Yeah. But definitely his like his age difference between Bryce I thought was interesting. I was like there is no way the actor that plays Bryce in this movie is 11 years younger.
No, it's true. It's true. They're closer in age for
Yeah.
sure. But it also means that Frank was 23 when he last saw Claire and they had their relationship. And I think she was a teenager because I think he's
Oof.
supposed to be a little bit older than her.
Yeah, true.
That's a long period of your life to not see a person for one thing, and to like that'll be like maybe like I want to say like maybe their first meaningful relationship
Yep.
together in their life. But then that's like so long ago. Like I don't know. It just seems really like a strange that they still have that kind of connection again.
Yeah. Yeah, like who you are at 23 is not who you are at 38.
Exactly. Well, that's pretty much all I've got to really say about this. Do you have some more stuff?
I think everything else I want to talk about will be saved for differences. Yeah. So let's watch the movie.
All right. Merry Christmas.
For this week's question, I want to know, John, what are your favorite non-Christmas movies? So that could be like 5 minutes of the film is Christmas, or it can be the whole thing takes part at Christmas, but they just don't talk about it.
Okay, I'm gonna name two. It's gonna have to be one of the movies that you had mentioned before is gonna be Gremlins. All takes part over Christmas, and they're talking about Christmas the entire time, but it's really about the Gremlins going and doing the crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nightmare Before Christmas, which kind of straddles the line between a horror movie, a Christmas movie, a children's claymation movie. And it is heavily about Christmas, but it's about other things too. And I think I really enjoy it. I'm gonna say that there are things that people will argue are Christmas movies that I'm just like, I'm not. I'm not even a big fan of this movie in general, and I'm gonna bring it up after.
Okay, so I am shocked that those are your two picks because I fully thought you were going to say Die Hard. Is that the movie you're talking about that people are so like, it's a Christmas movie? And you're like, no, it's not.
Maybe it can be considered a Christmas movie, but I'm just like, for one, it's not one of my favorite Bruce Willis films. And for another, I'm just like, it's so tangential towards Christmas. Basically, it's like this is happening on Christmas Eve, I think. and that's its only connection. Only connection. Like, at least with Gremlins and with Never Before Christmas, like, there are heavily like Christmas things going on. I'm just diehard. I'm coming across. I'm going on the other side of the line here, other side of the fence, whatever you want to say. I'm saying not a Christmas movie.
Not a Christmas movie. All right. You heard it here. So nobody can argue otherwise.
Well, everyone can argue otherwise. I do not own the internet.
Yeah. So for me, mine is You've Got Mail. It's definitely not a Christmas movie, but they do spend part of the movie at Christmas, and I really enjoy it. I love that movie so much. So just, yeah. When Meg Ryan's character talks about Christmas, it always makes me feel warm and fuzzy, so I really like that. And also another one I'm surprised you didn't bring up, Batman Returns.
Oh, sure. How much does it actually take place at Christmas, though?
Not,
Like, there,
not so much, but it's that
yeah.
the penguins plan threatens the children and because of Christmas. So yeah, and there's
Sure.
the tree lighting ceremony in it.
It's true.
It's Christmassy a little
I mean,
bit.
there's another one. I mean, if we're just going to talk about Tim Burton films, didn't Edward Scissorhands have some Christmas stuff?
Yes, exactly. It did. It fully did.
I'm starting to think that Tim Burton just in general likes Halloween and Christmas a lot, and he likes mixing them together.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to say I really enjoy Christmas. So he's like, I'm just gonna make it spooky. And that's how they
Yeah,
will.
he's the guy in the mall in November when Christmas music starts playing. He's like, yeah, I'm digging this finally.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a film. I don't think it's a lot on Christmas, but we were considering doing When Harry Met Sally too, which had some New Year's elements in it. Not quite Christmas, but still around that season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Meg Ryan and I like Billy Crystal too.
Yeah. So there you have it.
Okay,
Christmas movies that
nice.
aren't Christmas movies.
That's
But
right.
should
That's
be.
right. What should be a Christmas movie?
But should be Christmas movies.
Okay. If we're talking about movies that I think should come out that should be Christmas movies, I'm going to say Gremlins 3.
Oh, for sure.
Unsurprisingly.
Just think of New Year's.
Oh, you think Gremlins 3 should be a New Year's movie?
Yeah, wait, isn't the second one at New Year's?
I don't think it's at New Year's, no. I think it's just like generic day. They're in New York and there's no snow.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah.
Okay, and here we're back to our bonus Scrooged episode. We have now watched the film after evaluating the script, and we are ready to get into it. Beck, what did you think about Scrooged for the millionth time?
I mean, I love it. I love this movie. I think I watched it a little differently this time, through the lens of, oh wow, Claire's character is really hard done by. But
Right.
but yeah, I still really enjoyed it. I think Bill Murray is just hilarious. So I had a good time with it.
He is really good. Yeah. Do you think you looked at it differently? That's very cool. I enjoyed it as well, and there are things I paid attention to that I don't normally do when I'm watching it. And maybe I would have caught this anyway, but it was the music really caught my attention right from the start. I'm like, I recognize this music. And I'm like, this reminds me of a Tim Burton film. And then, what would you know? I look it up, and it's Danny Elfman, of course. And Danny Elfman does so many of Tim Burton's films. He also did, for one, he did the Batman films, the first two. He did the Alice films. He's done a bunch of stuff with Tim Burton. What's it called? Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay, so Bill Murray auditioned to be the Joker in Batman. So I wonder
Interesting.
I wonder if there's a connection there too. If they were like, let's just make it the Batman music.
Well, I don't know about that. Maybe. There's a lot I want to get into behind the scenes on the line. This film was directed by Richard Donner. And surprisingly, it apparently has some mixed reception and pretty low ratings in reviews.
Yeah, Roger Ebert said it was the worst adaptation of A Christmas Carol he's ever seen.
Which is insane, right? I don't know if it's just it became a cult classic over time, but this seems like such a quintessential Christmas film and so well done.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, reading a little bit about Bill Murray's account of things, I can see how there was an idea of how great it was going to be, and it didn't necessarily hold up to what they wanted it to. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, maybe there is like a better version out there, but I still fucking love it.
Yeah, I think Bill Murray is no, he's not someone who's going to be quiet about his feelings about something, and so I'm not surprised that he criticizes it if it wasn't exactly what he envisioned going into it. But I
Hmm.
really do think it's a strong film, regardless. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's got unique elements. It's got puppetry in some ways. It's got great actors and a fun story. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, what are some things you loved about the film? I guess we can start with.
I think I like really enjoyed the parts that were quite obviously Bill Murray's improv. Like I think he did
Mm,
a great job. And like there are just like some lines there that are like, what? Like there's a scene when he comes across Herman, who is now deceased, and he's in that like sewer kind of area with him.
right.
His line that he says is, "This is nice. Where are we? Trump Tower?" And I was like, amazing, amazing. And then there's another part where he's like offering Lou some vodka, and he's like, "Russian vodka poisoned by Chernobyl." I was like, hilarious. Like, where is this stuff coming from? Yeah. So I really loved him, and also I really loved Grace. I thought she was so great, and I wish she had a bigger part in the film. I thought her face was so expressive. The way she reacted to him was amazing. Yeah, I thought that she was like a very good counter to him and was able to like even steal some of those scenes.
Yeah, she's a very great actress. She's done a lot of different work since then. Alfre Woodard. She was in one thing that I distinctly remember her in was the first season of Luke Cage, where she plays a congresswoman who is siblings with the corrupt business owner in a nightclub owner in the place, and she ends up killing her brother. Spoilers.
Right.
And then she takes over, and she really has a spiral downward over the two seasons. I think she wasn't able to shine the way she can in that series because Luke Cage wasn't necessarily the best, but she's definitely great in this
Yeah.
and in other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to see a young Alfre again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Carol Kane, of course, always fun. Uh,
Yes. In the Ghost of Christmas Present role.
Yes. And you got to, I read accounts that apparently she was in tears between takes of having to beat up Bill Murray.
Yeah, I read that too. She really didn't like having to beat him up. I think
Oh,
that's
Jesus.
funny. I think that gives that character like another layer. Like if you think of her as the character and her doing all of that with just a smile on her face, but secretly hating doing all of it, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's true, eh?
Yeah.
But she does it so well. She does it so
Yeah.
well. There also the Ghost of Christmas Past. He's actually a famous singer. His name's David Johansen. Uh,
Yeah. He's sung on like so many things. Like his like singing, his performer resume is much longer than his like acting resume, and it's all very
Yes, like
impressive stuff.
he for sure. Yeah, he is a singer first, I think. Apparently, there was some behind the scenes drama for him and his bandmate Arthur Kane.
Oh, what's
Uh,
that?
Apparently, just seeing the role that David Johansen had, such a prominent role in the film, his bandmate Arthur Kane attempted suicide over it. Like, I guess there was a lot of jealousy there, or maybe just like some
Wow.
depression. There's obviously a lot of things behind this
Hmm.
that, like, he probably already had lots of depression in his life in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lots of interesting parts. I agree with the improv. I liked just the small moments of improv where he walks past the impressionist painting of a woman and he's like, "Mother, help me."
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure Bill Murray was friends with Richard Pryor, but I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of dark to say that." There's a guy who Bill Murray sees as being lit on fire in a
Yeah.
restaurant at one point, and he's like flailing around, and Bill Murray throws some water on him, and it turns out that the guy's not on fire, and then he's like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were Richard Pryor." I was like, "Ooh." Okay,
I
that's a
didn't
little
know
dark.
about this. I had to look it up. So he lit himself on fire when he was freebasing.
Yeah. So yeah, and so I don't. Yeah, that came out. I guess it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna riff on on this with Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
So last time back, we mentioned all these apparent stars that were supposed to appear in this film. We're like, I don't remember Marlon Brando in it, and there was no Marlon Brando, but there were a lot of like cameos of people who just like one little scene there and here and there out. And it was quite star-studded, realistically, right?
Yeah, like in the script it said we were going to see Chuck Norris in that opening scene. And I knew that he
Mm.
wasn't in this. I was fully like, I don't remember him. But instead we got Lee Majors, who is the $6 million man.
Yeah, famous 1970s TV series. We also had Bob Goulet.
Yes,
Yeah.
expected. Who was singing Silver Bells and not the little drummer boy like in the script. One tiny change.
Ah, tiny change. Well done, well done.
Mimi
Yeah.
from the Drew Carey show, who's the actress's name I don't have. She was the nurse who helps the censorship woman.
Yes, I remember that. I didn't catch the star of Scrooge, like the character who played Scrooge, but I recognize his face.
Oh, I have his name. It is Jamie Lou Barr.
Ah, okay, okay, yeah. So I've definitely seen him in different things. It was a fun little cameo-filled film, even to the point where Bill Murray's three brothers were in the film. Uh,
Yes. I only
yeah.
recognized one of them. I when they were in the past, I saw his brother play his dad, and I was like, oh, fully I know that
Yes.
that's who your brother is. And I only know that because of Groundhog Day, because he plays the guy who brings Punxsutawney Phil out of his box.
Right. Oh, good catch. I didn't remember that. But now when you say it, yeah, I can definitely picture the two characters being the same actor.
Mhm.
Do you know who the other two were then?
I looked up that James, his brother, in the film is actually his brother.
Yeah, that's fun. And
And
then
I don't
apparently the
know who.
last one was a party guest.
Yeah,
Keeping it in the family. Very
yeah.
cool. Okay. Well, here, you already mentioned one change. How about we dive right into some more changes then? What are some things you noticed that were different from the Scrooge to Scrooged
The
adaptation?
the Peace Corps storyline. So in the script, it's that they're
Yeah,
supposed
just
to be
completely
joining.
yanked out of there, eh?
Yeah, they're supposed to be going to the Peace Corps, and Claire goes, and Bill Murray, or sorry, Frank doesn't, and that's like how their relationship breaks up. But in this, there is no Peace Corps. Yes, Claire is still somebody who's very giving and she volunteers her time and tries to make the world a better place. But the thing that breaks them up is that Frank wants to go to a dinner with his boss and Claire says they can't go because they already promised their best friend that they would spend Christmas Eve with them. And I was like, for that to break up your relationship is interesting.
Yeah.
That shocked me. I was like, that's not strong enough. The Peace Corps stuff was way stronger.
The Peace Corps stuff was way stronger. That being said, you do get the impression that she was kind of at a breaking point anyway, because she wanted to talk to him, like maybe we should take a break.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it was just this one thing. Like I think it's like he's been putting work ahead of her for a long time. This has been a pattern.
Yep, yep, yep.
Hmm. For the most part, I noticed just like small changes. Like I think he made the character more vindictive in the film than it was in the script a bit. Like when
Mm-hmm.
he's watching when he fires Bobcat's character,
Elliot.
Elliot, yeah, when he fires Elliot, he actually has like a telescope set up at
Yeah.
his window that he goes over to and watches the drama of Elliot being fired or being kicked off the premises down below
Yeah.
and just like reveling in it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely more vindictive. I would say that possibly a part of that, like that is a choice, and I guess he had to have the telescope brought into that scene because that wasn't written into the script either. So that's like a well thought out change that he wanted to do. But one thing I know is that he was directed to be loud very often, and he didn't
Mm.
like that. Yeah, so he's often like shouting. If you rewatch it, you'll see that he's like almost shouting in every scene, and you can see how that would also give that character like a more assholeish vibe than perhaps he was
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
page.
That's fair. I didn't mind the shouting in the film, but I can definitely see how it would get on an actor's nerves if he's like, that's the note he keeps getting, and he doesn't feel that this character would need to do that necessarily. I think as an actor, you'd probably want to be able to convey the menace and vindictiveness of a character with subtlety rather than just being like, I'm loud, and so it's obviously I'm a bad guy.
Yeah. Another
Yeah.
change I found, this is so small, but it has to relate with Claire again, is that in the film, her number was dialed on the phone by an unseen ghost. Like there's a shot of the phone and her number is being dialed, whereas in the
Mhm.
script, he dials the operator and asks to be connected to Claire. So it's interesting that the agency was taken away from the character in that sense. It made him less active. Like the ghosts are trying to bring him back together with Claire. He's not the one trying to bring himself back to Claire.
Yes, it's true. And even when he goes to the shelter that she works at,
Mm-hmm.
he goes in with the intention of just like proving that she's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he does that in the script. I think like he's like overcome by things, but in the film he's like, you're like, no one is this good. This is all a lie, and I'm gonna go there and prove that you're just faking it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which seems, I mean, like obviously he's probably in denial, but it really feels like he just doesn't have. Again, he like making it clear that he's not good for Claire. He doesn't have an idea of who Claire actually is.
And doesn't allow her to really show him. Like he just every time he sees her, he just like talks at her, and she's just like silently kind of reacting to him. He even like comes in, and the first thing in the shelter that he does is he kisses her on the lips, like without saying
Mm,
anything, and that's like holy shit. Okay,
yeah,
you're not
yeah.
giving this girl a chance to say anything.
You know, it's funny. Like I know you're gonna play different characters each time, but Karen Allen would have been famous at this time for Indiana Jones, and to go from Jones, like one of like a very outspoken female character at the time,
Mm-hmm.
I think very strong at the time. I liked her. I preferred her a lot more in the original Indiana Jones than in the fourth one. Then to go from that and then to this where she is just like completely passive is
Yeah.
is funny. Yeah.
Yeah. But like her smile, like the first scene of her, I was like instantly smitten. Like these big eyes and this huge smile. I was like, oh my God. She's so
Doe leg, eh?
cute.
Yeah.
She's so cute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She leaves an impression.
Yeah. One thing that I found interesting when I was like looking up trivia stuff was that before Bill Murray signed on, he requested that the script be reworked. And so a quote
Mm.
from him, we tore up the script so badly that we had parts all over the lawn. There was a lot more I didn't like. To remake the story, we took the romantic element and built that up a little more. It existed in the script's original version, but we had to make more of it. The family scenes were kind of off, so we worked on that. And I'm like, well, you did not work on the romantic storyline enough.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine what the romantic storyline was before if this is the reworked and better version?
Yeah, for real. Like Claire's just like silent on camera roll.
Oh man. Yeah, what could she have been doing?
Right.
So the fact that they went from the script to the film and they removed the Peace Corps element then, like
Mm-hmm.
was the Peace Corps element something that he added in that was then removed by Richard Donner, or was that
Oh
just
yeah,
like
interesting.
so strange,
Mhm.
eh?
Yeah. The other change I wanted to bring up was the Ghost of Christmas Future, because in the script we talked about how he has like a whole bit. Like him and Bill Murray talk to each other, and
Mm,
then we follow him to the dressing room, and then he comes out and he does turn out to be the ghost. Whereas
mm.
originally Bill just thought he was an actor in the show. But yeah, in this he has zero lines, and you don't see him in the dressing room. It's just like elevator to office. So they pulled that
Yeah.
out completely. I wonder if they filmed that stuff and it just ended up on the cutting room floor. Because I definitely know, well, I don't know for sure, but I feel as if there are some parts in the movie where you can see that stuff was cut out. Like in the script,
Oh.
the security guards, when the first ghost shows up, Bill Murray calls the security guards and they have this big back and
Hmm.
forth. But
Hmm.
that doesn't happen in the movie. The only security guard scene you get is when Bill Murray is waiting at the elevator bay and he like has this glance with the security guards and they're all nervous. I guess
Right.
they're afraid of him.
Yeah.
But like having
Yeah.
that scene by itself doesn't really make sense because we already know that people are afraid of him. And so it doesn't add anything to the movie. So I think that scene originally was the setup for the stuff that they would have filmed with the security guards. And then they just like, ooh, let's cut it.
That's fair. I did find that, and this might have been in the script as well, that Herman dies so quickly after his introduction. Like, I felt, at least when I was reading it, but maybe I was off, that we get introduced to Herman and then it's a while before he passes. But in this, like, it's within like the same 10-15 minutes. I feel like you meet him at the shelter. Bill Murray gets haunted by the ghost of Christmas present, and Herman's dead. And
yeah,
I felt like Herman should, like he was set up to be more, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It might also have to do with the ordering of things. It seemed as if like Grace's storyline in the script was kind of peppered throughout a little bit differently, like divided throughout the script, whereas in the film it was like you just see this basically one scene of her and her family. So possibly that cut up the stuff with Herman a little more.
Definitely. I don't have any other changes. Do you have anything major you wanted to talk about the changes?
Just the last one was that in the script, the Frank's cremation is not there. So that's something that they added in the movie where James and his wife, Wendy, are watching him die. And I was just wondering what the message of that was for, like, what is Frank supposed to get from that? Is he supposed to get that, like, if you follow this route, you're going to die young? Or is it that if you follow this route, you're going to die and you're going to have only two loved ones there when you die?
You know, it's funny because that is an original, like he was cremated in the film, but in the original story of Scrooge, you do go to his grave. So it's kind of the same thing. I guess they're just trying to say that you will die unmourned for the most part.
Right.
In the film, it didn't seem like Bill Murray's character Frank was too upset about the number of people there, just about the fact that he was dead in general.
Yeah.
And so, I think it really lines up with what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we're done with differences, I did want to just like touch on some little tidbits about the actual film that I enjoyed that I guess I could have brought up earlier, but
Go for it.
I just like the Ghost of Christmas Future. I did enjoy that his scenes were kind of in some ways trying to do something through like television, which really reflects on Frank's character who is so obsessed with television. Mm-hmm. And then it was fun also to have some, I'm sure it was Jim Henson work or some people who had worked with Jim Henson at some point with the ghosts having like dead souls in his body.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray needing to do a double take.
Yeah. So good.
One part that didn't resonate with me as much as it did in the script, and I was disappointed about this, was the actual, the moments with Calvin. Like the moment with Calvin was something that was really big for me in the script. I felt the emotion of it. In the film, I felt like maybe it was just the way it was acted by Bill Murray that there wasn't as much of an impact. Because I think Calvin was great, but I don't think I don't know if I believed that Frank cared that Calvin was that had this life or couldn't talk.
Yeah, it really didn't seem like it. Like the only time it seemed that he showed emotion, it was weird. He showed emotion in the first like trip to the past when he sees his mother and his father. Like he cries there, and otherwise that's like really the only time he's like vulnerable, which is weird that it happened so early on and then it doesn't so much happen again.
Yeah.
But I had expected him to be that way with Calvin too, and you're right. The performance there, the tracking of that wasn't as great as it was in the script.
Yeah, and then my last little bit, just some little info facts for people. They referenced the Berlin Wall. They're going to shoot at the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall came down 1 year to the month after this film was released. The film was released in November, and then the following year, the Berlin Wall came down.
Wild.
So some history for you. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll rifle off just my few little tidbits that are fun. I did bring up the Dickens line that I thought was like milked in the script portion, and I said it was so much for like a silly joke. But in the film, I feel as if like Bill Murray possibly thought the same thing because he says it twice, and then he's like the Dickens, and then he's like, oh, nobody understands me. Like exactly, yes, that joke wasn't great, but you made it better by like doing it twice. Yeah, and then I loved that the Ghost of Christmas Past drives like a really old cab, and when it first appears, it appears to like the present day version of the same cab. And I thought that was just such a like small attention to detail thing that was really good. So props to set deck people. I love that his boss had like a bajillion cats in his apartment.
Yeah.
The script references 2 Persians, but he just has like 10 cats or something. I thought it was amazing. And then I thought that the ranting and raving of like Frank at the end could have been scripted better, or should maybe have been scripted, because it goes all over the place. Like the journey that he takes is just like a crazy person. And I get that at this point he might be a little crazy, but I think he's supposed to have like gone on a journey, is less crazy now, and understands like where he needs to go. But like 2 seconds before he professes his love to Claire on camera, he kisses a dancer like under the mistletoe. Like, what?
That's true. Yeah.
He has learned no lesson.
I think in the original Scrooge, it's supposed to be like be nicer to people, but I guess maybe seize the day a bit. And like I feel like in this, it's maybe seize the day.
Yeah, seize the day, and he's the spirit of Christmas should be every day. The spirit of like giving and being with your loved ones and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And which is like a good message, I guess, but you're not really doing that right now.
It's true. It's
true. They're watching at the shelter. They're watching a broadcast of all of this happening. So she sees him like kiss this dancer. It's like, what is going on?
Maybe she left by then.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, you're totally right. He is supposed to be like summing up a specific thing that everyone is supposed to get on board with, but he's ranting and going off in so many directions. Like no one would be like, yeah, I'm gonna follow this guy. This guy knows what he's talking about.
Exactly.
You know, like, on the other hand, Donald Trump,
Yeah. True.
He does that daily to weekly, and everyone seems to be on board. So.
True. And then there was one line that he ad-libs at the end when he says, "Feed me, Seymour," and I was like, I don't know what this means. And I had to look it up, and it's actually a line from Little Shop of Horrors, and he had a small part in that movie. So just randomly brings that in.
It's true. And see, I knew because I'm a fan of Little Shop of Horrors, and I knew that he was in it. I knew that this was a line for him. I had no idea why he would bring it up.
Why? Maybe he's like, I already know that this isn't going to be good. Go watch Little Shop of Horrors.
Maybe.
Yeah. You mentioned the music off the top, and my last thing is just that I really loved when the Hallelujah music came in when he gets back from the future. It was like Hallelujah. I really enjoyed that. And then I messed up in the script portion because you wanted to talk about the final song, and in the script portion I said it's "Give a Little." It's very much like that song. It's "Put a Little Love in Your Heart."
And it's just a fun sing along, and it was never a Christmas song before this movie, but this movie made it a Christmas song for people. So
yeah,
power of Christmas back.
The power of Christmas. And the stuff that he does over the credits is unsurprisingly all ad-libbed.
Yeah, of course. I'm not surprised. Definitely. Yeah, he is a powerful improviser. That's where he started out. He's a great actor. Yeah. Okay, Beck, let's get on to, unless you have anything else?
No.
Great. Let's get on to which one we liked better, the script or the film.
Oh, man. I didn't have this ready, but I'm gonna say that I liked the film. Obviously, I'm obviously going to say the film because I get to see Bill Murray's performance, and I think he's hilarious. And because of Grace. She's Grace. And special shout out to Bill Murray's eyeliner.
Oh, okay, yeah. Very nice, very nice. I'm gonna go with you as well with the film. I really like it's Scrooged. It's a classic for a lot of people, a cult classic. I'm surprised that people dislike this film. I'm surprised that Bill Murray didn't like doing it. But the script had elements that I wish were in the film, but I still love these performances, this film in general.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and the one thing that I noticed this time that I never noticed before was that there's a person in the bone. I didn't know there was an actor in the bone that Frisbee gets
Oh, weird.
in
I
the
didn't know
past.
that. Yeah.
And yeah, it's like moving around and it like walks at one point. It's like, oh shit.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Man, there would be a whole separate Scrooged film about him who did not become president.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the last segment of every episode of The Script is Better. What are we going to do next week?
Next week, we're going to do another Christmas classic. It is The National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
For me, of all Christmas classics, this is the Christmas classic.
It is the Christmas classic. I
Yeah,
fully
this
agree.
is. And so I think we had to have done this, right?
Yes, we have to have done this, and I'm excited to read about all of the trivia as well once we get to the movie portion, because I want to know what it was like working with Chevy Chase back then, because I know recently people have not said great things, so exciting.
Yeah, I think a checkered past throughout most of his career. Like I know Bill Murray has not liked him from like day one of like SNL and stuff.
Okay.
I think Bill Murray can be fiery anyway, but he probably had like none of the SNL cast really liked him after abandoning them after a year of SNL. Anyway, I don't know a whole lot, but it'll be fun to read this.
Yes.
Yes. Let's go.
Let's go.
Jingle all the way.